Okay, folks, the appointed hour having arrived and the quorum being present, we'll call the special town meeting to order. I'll ask the town clerk to come up and read the warning and the return.
They give us candy to keep us alive.
Warrant for the special town meeting, Monday, June 3rd, 2019, at 7 o'clock p.m. To either of the constables in the town of Freetown, greeting. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Freetown who are qualified to vote in town affairs to meet in the Freetown Elementary School Auditorium, 43 Bullock Road, East Freetown, Mass. 02717 on Monday, June 3rd, 2019, at 7 o'clock p.m., then and there to act on the following articles. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at the following places: the Sona Post Office, East Freetown Post Office, the stores of Quick Pick in East Freetown, Junior's Convenience Store and Freetown Town Hall, and the Freetown Communication Center. Hereof fail not to make return of the original warrant with your doings thereon immediately after making service thereof to the town clerk of the town of Freetown, Massachusetts, given under our hands and seal of the town of Freetown, this 13th day of May, Anno Domini, 2019, signed by the Freetown Board of Selectmen. To the town clerk, town of Freetown, Massachusetts, May 7th, 17th, 2019. I have this day posted attested copies of this warrant in the designated places described herein. Signed, Carlton E. Abbott, Jr., Constable.
So just as a reminder, because even I forgot, the white vote ticket is for the special town meeting if it's needed. If anybody has a cell phone, please make sure that it's set on silent. If you come up to the microphone at all to speak, make sure that you give your name and a general idea of residence. It can just be a Sonnet or East Freetown. It doesn't have to be your address. You want to be holding your vote ticket at least the first time that you come up to speak, so that we make sure that it's voters who are speaking. And for this special town meeting, all articles will be funded from taxation unless it's otherwise specified. So for Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $53,599.87 for the purpose of funding the first year cost items contained in the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Freetown and the Freetown Police Association, which has a term of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2021, in the amounts and categories presented in the supplementary schedules as on file with the town clerk, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Make a motion to accept it as read.
The motion has been made and seconded to adopt Article 1 as read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 1 is adopted unanimously. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $9,105 for the Freetown Elementary School Phase 1 Security System Upgrade, including all incidental and related costs, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Make a motion to accept it as read. And Mr. Moderator, that will be funded by free cash.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Article 2 as read and to fund it out of free cash. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 2 is adopted unanimously. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $1,549.73 for the purpose of recycling mattresses at the transfer station with funding by transfer from the receipts reserved for appropriation account named the Recycling Program Fund, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Health. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Make a motion to accept it as read.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt Article 3 as read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 3 is adopted unanimously. Could I have please a motion to adjourn the special town meeting? Okay, that was moved, seconded at about 10. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The special town meeting is adjourned. The appointed hour having arrived, and now that we know that we actually have a quorum, I'll call the town meeting to order. The chairman of the selectmen is asked to make a couple of comments, and then we'll proceed with reading the opening and the return.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I just wanted to say a few things and make a few thank yous. First of all, the town is fortunate in that we do have a very good financial situation. We have about 10% of our budget in stabilization, so if, as a rainy day fund, so as someday if things get bad, we can patch in a budget if we need to. We have a balanced budget, we have the revenue to fill it, we're good financially, as I said. I'd like to thank Town Administrator David Dimash and his team of financial people, Town Treasurer Jessica Thomas, Assistant Assessor Karen Mello, and mostly, I think I can't say enough to Kim Fels, Town Accountant, for all she does. She does more than a town accountant. She's more a financial director. And so to all of them, thank you, and let's get going.
All right. We'll go on with the opening and the return.
Warrant for the annual town meeting, Monday, June 3rd, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. He that the constables of the town of Freetown greeting, in the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Freetown who are qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet in the Freetown Elementary School Auditorium, 43 Bullock Road, East Freetown, Massachusetts, on Monday, the 3rd day of June, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. then and there to act on the following articles. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by post and attested copies thereof at the following places: the Sonic Post Office, East Freetown Post Office, the stores of Quick Pick in East Freetown, Junior's Convenience Store, and Freetown Town Hall, and the Freetown Communications Center. Hereof fail not and make return of the original warrant with your doings thereon immediately after making service thereof to the town clerk of the town of Freetown, Massachusetts, given under our hands and seal of the town of Freetown, this 13th day of May, Anno Domini 2019, signed by the Freetown Board of Selectmen. To the town clerk, town of Freetown, Massachusetts, May 17th, 2019. I have this day posted attested copies of this warrant in the designated places described herein, signed by Carlton E. Abbott Jr., Constable.
Okay, and the, excuse me, the same reminders that we had from before. If you have a cell phone, please set it to silent. If you're coming up to the microphone, please make sure that you give your name and your residence. Again, it can be Asona Louise Freetown. It doesn't have to be your address. If you come up to talk, you want to make sure at least the first time that you have the blue vote ticket so that we know that you're a voter. Nobody should speak until recognized by the moderator. And once again, for the annual town meeting, all of the articles will be funded from taxation unless it is otherwise specified. So, Article 1, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer such sums of money as may be necessary to defray the town charges for the fiscal year 2020, viz. General government, public safety, health and human services, public works, education, culture and recreation, interest and principal debt, townwide fueling, and unclassified, SERPED, assessment, retirement, insurances, Medicare and transfers, capital equipment, capital building and other property improvements, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen, and they will require majority votes. So you want to switch over now to the budget packet, which is a separate packet. For each department, we will hear the Finance Committee's recommendation and the department's request only if they're different. If they're the same, you'll only hear one number. If you disagree with the recommendation of the Finance Committee, or if you have a question about a specific budget, please call out hold and be recognized. We'll put that budget aside and we'll go ahead and vote on all the other ones. At the end of each section, we'll vote to adopt what the Finance Committee has recommended for any line that's not on hold, and then we'll go back to the holds. So we'll start with the first line, 114, Town Moderator for personnel, requested $432, recommended $450. For the Board of Selectmen for personnel, $72,098.51. Expenses, $12,650. Total, $84,748.51. For the Town Administrator for personnel, $165,358.80. For expenses, $40,750, for a total of $206,108.80. For the Finance Committee, for personnel, $700. For expenses, $3,600, total $4,300. For the Reserve Fund, $125,000. For the Town Accountant, for personnel, $112,025. For expenses, $7,311. For a total of $119,336. For the Town Audit, $19,500. For the Board of Assessors, for personnel, $83,648.18. For expenses, $15,570. For a total of $99,218.18. For the Town Treasurer, for personnel, $164,063.28. For expenses, $37,680.22. For a total of $201,743.50. For legal fees, $125,000. For Management Information Systems, for expenses, $52,862.
Hold.
Okay. For tax title foreclosures, for expenses, $15,500. For the Town Clerk, for personnel, $106,437.28. For expenses, $5,488. Total budget, $111,925.28. For primaries and elections, for personnel, $5,934. Go back to that one. For personnel, for primaries and elections for personnel, $5,934. For expenses, $6,213. A total of $12,147. For registration, for personnel, $1,619. For expenses, $4,567, for a total of $6,186. For the Conservation Commission, for personnel, requested $12,175, recommended $7,175. For expenses, $5,290, for a total requested budget of $17,465, and a total recommended budget of $12,465. For the Planning Board, for personnel, excuse me, for the Planning Board, for personnel, $39,368.24. For overtime, $1,428.60. For expenses, $8,252. For a total of $49,048.84. For the Zoning Board of Appeals, for personnel, $1,971. For expenses, $600, for a total of $2,571. For the Soil Conservation Board, for personnel, $700. For expenses, $400, for a total of $1,100. For the Economic Development Committee, for personnel, $500. For expenses, $500, for a total of $1,000. For public buildings and property maintenance, for personnel, $38,305. For expenses, $175,306. For a total of $213,611. For property insurance, for expenses, $98,117. For the town reports, $3,000. For the DEP hazmat assessment, $2,455. That brings us to the end of general government. I would ask now for a motion to accept the Finance Committee's recommendations for all of the lines that are not on hold. And again, the holds were on Management Information Systems and the Conservation Commission. A motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommended figures for the budgets that are not on hold. Are there any questions on the budgets that are not on hold?
Paul Kudo, East Freetown. And maybe my copy is wrong. It wasn't placed on hold. The town accountant, I have a board selecting number of $112.25, and then a finance committee number of $115,375.
Thank you. The Finance Committee notified me at the start of the meeting that they had changed their recommendation to match
The board selected.
the Board of Selectmen.
When I saw this number, I just wanted to be sure.
Absolutely. Thank you. There are a couple of them where that happens, so if that comes up again, somebody please do stop me and I'll clarify it.
Paul McGee, Precinct 2. I'm just curious, the difference between what was requested and what was awarded at 17 plus what falls out, or why is the disparity?
On which line?
On the one that I put the whole,
We're not on the holds yet. We're on the not held things. All right. Is there any other questions on what's not on hold? Okay, hearing none. Again, the motion was to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendations. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those lines not on hold are adopted unanimously. So the first hold was on the Management Information System.
Adam Michaels, Freetown. I was just wondering what the $20,000 jump was about. That's all.
It's actually two changes. One is that we're implementing a new phone system in the town hall. We're going to be moving from a landline system to a voice-over internet protocol system. And second part is that we currently have a program called One Call, and we're making a transition from One Call to Civic, I believe Civic Now. And it basically gives us a whole slew of new features, including a mobile app and things that will make it, and it also has unlimited messaging, so
So it's just a
we're not tied
one-time
into
thing?
that. I'm sorry?
It's just a one-time thing?
One-time thing.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Well, no, actually, for there's a fee that's associated with this every year. It's a yearly fee.
All right, are there any additional questions on the Management Information Systems? If none, I will need a motion to adopt a number.
Move to adopt the Finance Committee's recommended number. Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendation, which again was $52,862. Are there any additional questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is adopted unanimously. The other hold was on the Conservation Commission.
Paul McGee, Precinct 2. I'm just curious, as I asked a moment ago, the difference in requested versus what was awarded is fairly significant.
Mr. McGee, the $12,175 was the request of the Conservation Commission. In the budget process, the Finance Committee and the majority of the Board of Selectmen decided to cut out $5,000, which would have been for personnel to maintain the gate and maintain an area at Porter Pasture Conservation property off of Gramp Dean Road.
The only thing I was going to say is that it's a little facetious, but if we have a balanced budget, maybe we should take the entire Finance Committee and send them to Washington.
No, thanks.
Make a motion to accept the finance committee recommended budget number.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommended budget for the Conservation Commission, which is personnel of $7,175, expenses of $5,290, for a total of $12,465. Are there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is, budget is adopted unanimously as recommended by the Finance Committee, and in deference to the Finance Committee, we will not vote on sending them to Washington. So we're going to move on to the public safety budgets now. That starts with the police department. That's line 210. Excuse me, it is very dry up here.
Moderator, can I ask you questions before you read this?
Sure.
I believe one of the other articles has to do with collective bargaining and so forth and so on. How are these numbers reflected into here?
That was, if I'm,
Or is that a separate entity?
I think that was the first article at the special town meeting.
Yes.
Right.
So I'll let the select.
Article 1 in the special town meeting was transferring funds within the police department budget to cover the collective bargaining agreement for this fiscal year. What you have here is the budget with the collective bargaining for 2019.
Okay, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay. So in the police department budget, excuse me, for overtime, the request is $231,610.40. The recommendation is $231,651.40. For personnel, the numbers match at $1,714,891.55. For expenses, $149,999. For a total requested budget of $2,096,500.95, and a recommended budget of $2,996,541.95. For the communication center, for overtime, $24,236.04. For personnel, $296,615.84. For expenses, $12,162. Total budget, $333,013.88. For the fire department, for overtime, $145,172. For personnel, $965,015. For expenses, $120,700. For a total budget of $1,230,887 for the fire department. For the building department, this may be one again where there could have been a change in the recommendation. The requested figure for personnel is $96,737.50. The recommended figure is $94,837.50. In expenses, they match at $7,965 for a total request of $104,702.50. A total recommendation of $102,802.50. For the gas inspectors, for personnel, $10,080, expenses 0, total $10,080. For the plumbing inspectors, personnel, $7,580, expenses 0, total $7,580. For the sealer of weights and measures, for expenses, $4,000. For the electrical inspectors, for personnel, $30,000. For expenses, 0, for a total of $30,000. For civil defense, for personnel, $2,639. For expenses, $17,000. For a total of $19,639. For the animal control officer, for personnel, $36,115.54. For expenses, $6,140. For a total budget of $42,255.54. For forestry, which is the tree warden, for personnel, request $16,110, recommended $13,200. For expenses, $10,890, for a total requested budget of $27,000, and for a total recommended budget of $24,090. For the harbor master, for expenses, $100. Since there were no holds, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the public safety budgets as recommended by the Finance Committee. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendations for the public safety budgets. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those budgets are adopted unanimously. To the education budgets. School committee stipends for personnel, $4,424. Regional assessments for the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District Regional Assessment for Education, $10,975,310. For the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District Assessment for Transportation, $277,023. For the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District other charge of truck, $0. For regional debt for the new middle school, $112,834.30. For regional debt for the old middle school, $66,943.21. For regional debt for technology, $0. For regional debt for pool rehabilitation, $48,329.31. For regional debt for athletic facilities, $32,169.64. For a total budget of $11,512,609.46. For the Bristol County Agricultural High School Assessment, $27,804. For the Old Colony Regional Vocational Technical High School Assessment, on Old Colony or Bristol Ag? Old Colony. On Old Colony. So we'll come right to that hold. Can I take a motion to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendation for the lines that are not on hold? Motion is made and seconded to adopt the education budgets that are not on hold. The hold is the Old Colony budget. Are there any further discussion on those? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those budgets are adopted unanimously, and we'll come to the hold on Old Colony.
Paul McGee again. The question I have is not so much challenging the amount, is that are we moving forward at all to become part of the Old Colony system rather than paying an out-of-pocket expenses because we don't belong to their system? Because I would think that Old Colony being an excellent educational school for trades and so forth, that we're going to get more kids going in the future. So are we doing anything? I know when we had the chance many years ago, we muffed it and didn't join. And now we're paying expense every time a child or kid wants to go there. Is there any, anybody moving to have us become
Paul, you want me to
part of
answer the
their
question?
system?
You want me to answer the question for you? What we do now is we have 90 places at Old Colony for tuition. We are filling those tuition positions. We have had Old Colony reach out to the community about the possibility of joining the region. It's just been a feeler. We'll have to wait and see. But the ball is basically in their court. They basically have to invite us into the region, or the potential of inviting us into the region. So past actions by the town has left us where we are now, but that's where we stand. Just so we're tuition students. We're paying a little bit more than probably a resident from the region is paying, but like I said, past town meetings haven't joined the region, so that's where we are right now.
So this amount, a flat rate?
It's a rate set by the state, if I'm correct, right, Kim? Yes. It's a rate set by the state, and, you know,
Will this rate go up if not, we have 90, and if all of a sudden we have 100 kids want to go there, do we pay a higher rate?
Well, yeah, well, the cap is at 90 right now. So, it's 90 students, we pay the rate.
Do you know how many we have now?
I believe we have 90 students at the school.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Okay, are there any additional questions or comments on the Old Colony budget? If not, can I have a motion to adopt the Old Colony budget?
Motion made.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to adopt the Old Colony Regional Vocational Technical High School assessment at $1,796,364. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It is adopted unanimously. We'll move on to the Public Works budgets, starting with the Highway Department. For overtime, $550. For personnel, $394,862. For expenses, $84,590. For a total budget of $480,002. For snow and ice removal, for overtime, $25,000. For expenses, $75,000. For a total of $100,000. For street lamps, for expenses, $13,000. For trash collection and disposal, for expenses, $567,162. For the transfer station, for personnel, $68,425.60. For expenses, $116,300. For a total of $184,725.60. For the cemetery commission, for personnel, $4,000. For expenses, $24,155. For a total budget of $28,155. So can I have a motion to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendations for the lines that are not on hold? Second. Motion is made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendations for the lines that are not on hold. The line that is on hold again is the street lamps. Is there any discussion on the lines that are not on hold? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those lines not on hold are adopted unanimously. We'll now go back to the street lamps.
So, last year, you said that you were having a meeting.
Brian.
Sorry, Brian Miller, Flag Swamp Road. Dave, last year, you had said that you're gonna be having a meeting, I think, with Eversource after the town meeting about the light bulbs, because I'd asked why we don't have LED, and we keep spending $10,000 on bulbs, is this the 13 to buy LED?
Actually, this is just an increase for this fiscal year. However, as part of the capital budget, we've included a sum of money of $35,000 to buy the existing lights that are on the poles, to install new lights, and have taken into account the fact that we're gonna get certain discounts from Eversource, as well as a grant from MAPC to offset some of that $35,000, approximately $9,000 actually. So it'll net out to $24,000. However, we've been averaging about $150 more each month this past year, strictly on electricity, based upon where and how the lights get installed and at what time of year. We're hoping that there's gonna be a cost savings in this year. The existing LED program has a break-even of 3 years, so the cost of installing the LED lights because of the cheaper energy costs, as well as the fact that the lights last longer. An LED light will last approximately 20 years, where a sodium vapor light will last 5 or so years. There'll be cost savings there. So based upon those two things, that's one of the reasons why, at least for this year, I put extra money in there only because I didn't know when we were gonna actually be implementing that program. There should be some cost savings in this year also.
All right, so what you're saying, though, short, is that they are transitioning into LED
We are
bulbs
absolutely
over this next
transitioning,
year.
yes.
All right, so that over the future years,
Yeah.
we won't have this anymore.
Yeah, we have approximately 81 lights. We're in the process. We did a street light audit about 3 weeks ago to identify where those lights are
Perfect.
and what we need to convert.
Well, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep checking.
Motion to adopt the finance committee's recommended number.
No, you can make the motion and then he can talk afterwards. It's fine.
Second.
There you go. Go ahead.
Bob Joes, Christie Lane, Sonnet. What the town administrator was just saying, you put it in the capital budget, so if the capital budget doesn't pass for it, then it's
Then
gonna
we'll still
revert
have the
back to
money here.
electrical charges that we have that's on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we
If the
should be
capital
covered.
budget passes, then we'll expect it, but you can't put it in until it passes, so they're carried higher.
It's a good point. Thank you.
So we do actually have a motion made and seconded to adopt the street lamps at $13,000. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It is adopted unanimously. We'll move on to the Health and Human Services. Starts with the Health Inspection Services, otherwise called the Board of Health, for personnel. Requested $102,958.26. Recommended $101,058.26. For expenses, $11,945. For a total requested budget of $114,903.26, and a total recommended budget of $113,003.26. For the Council on Aging, for personnel, $140,914.62.
I think it's hard to hear when there are other conversations going on.
That's a good point. So please be mindful of making sure everybody that can hear what's going on. Thanks. For the Council on Aging, for personnel, $140,914.62. For expenses, $15,884. For a total budget of $156,798.62. For Veteran Services, for personnel, $12,000. For expenses, $168,750. Total budget of $180,750. And for Memorial and Veterans Days, for expenses, $2,200. I have a motion to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendation for the lines.
Mr. Moderator, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the Selectmen's budget at 454,651 and 88 cents.
So what, you're looking to put a department on hold?
Well, okay, if you want to put it on hold, you may.
Yes.
Then we'll put the personnel, health personnel,
In
on
the,
hold.
in which department?
uh,
Oh, in the Board of Health?
Board of Health, yes.
Okay. So we're gonna put the Board of Health personnel line only on hold. And then I'd look for a motion to adopt everything else as recommended by the Finance Committee. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Finance Committee's recommendations for all of the lines except for the Board of Health, Health Inspection Services personnel line. Are there any questions or comments on the lines that are not on hold? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is adopted by the majority. So back to the hold for the Health Inspection Services personnel line.
Mr. Monterey, the 102,958.26 would cover a promotion that has been given to the clerk and a promotion that's earned in the amount of the difference of a couple $100.
So you make that as a motion for that
Yes.
higher number.
Right.
Is there a second? Second. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Health Inspection Services personnel line at the figure $102,958.26. Are there any additional questions or comments on that line?
Why did the Finance Committee come up with a different number if it's only a couple $100?
All right, for anybody that might not have, the question was, why did the Finance Committee have a lower recommendation? And I'll defer that to the Finance Committee. You're very enthusiastic. Could we ask the superintendent, could we have a higher microphone?
Is it gonna work?
I hope.
Everybody hear me? That was one of those contract things, moving from a clerk up, and they didn't know what the figure was gonna be until very recently, and we were going on some earlier figures. And we decided tonight we're still gonna stick with the earlier figures.
So do you agree with what Mr. Sullivan has said?
I still like our figure. Remember, you wanna send me to Washington, so that may not be the case.
Are there any additional questions or comments on that line? Again, that's the Board of Health personnel line. So hearing none, the motion is for the higher figure, the $102,958.26. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That line is adopted unanimously. Moving on to culture and recreation for the library.
Tim McIntosh on Pleasant Street. Building and health clerk, same clerk is in two different budgets. Was the correct number voted on for the building portion of that?
The building portion was voted at the recommended figure, which is the lower figure. So you would have to make a motion to reconsider it to go back to it.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Anyone wants to second it?
The question that's been asked, the clerk for the Board of Health is also shared by the building department. The same thing happened with the building department line. The finance committee recommended a lower number. The meeting voted the lower number because the question was not asked at that time. Tim has made a motion to reconsider to go back and discuss that line. Paul has now seconded the motion. I have to ask Tim, did you vote in favor or oppose the last time?
I did not vote. I don't know if that
Then
matters.
you can't make that motion.
Then I withdraw.
But I'll take Paul's second as a motion if somebody wants to second Paul. All right.
Apologies, Mr. Ronson.
Nope, that's all right. So just for education, because this doesn't come up too often, if you're going to make a motion to reconsider, you have to have voted on the winning side the first time. So if you vote yes and no wins, you can't make that motion. Or if you don't vote on that line at all, you can't make that motion. So the motion before us is to reconsider the building department personnel line. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. So we'll go back to the building department, which was, oh my,
241.
241, line 241.
Raise given moved to
What?
Okay, the motion before us is to adopt that budget at $96,737.50. So again, this is back at line 241 for the building department. Has everybody found where we are? All right. The motion is for $96,737.50. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion that's before us now? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That line is now adopted at the higher figure, $96,737.50. Returning to the libraries, line 611. For the libraries, for personnel, $109,387. For expenses, $36,502, for a total budget of $145,889. For the James White Memorial Library, for expenses, $0. For the Arts Cultural Council, for expenses, $1,500. For the Historical Commission, for expenses, $500. For the Parade and Fireworks Committee, for expenses, $3,000. I'll ask for a motion to adopt those budgets as recommended. Motion is made and seconded to adopt the libraries, Cultural Council, Historical Commission, and Parade and Fireworks as recommended. Are there any questions or comments on those budgets?
I might have missed it, but you said for the white library, it says 0 expenses, but the paper says 6520. I know the finance committee recommended 0, but.
So I think there's my budget looks a little bit different. I think there's a adjusted, requested, or something like that column.
Oh, to the left of it, to the
Yeah.
right of it, where the parentheses?
So what
So that
happened,
says 0.
yeah, what happened with this one, and this is a little unique, when we voted on the building budget earlier, property maintenance budget, all of the utility expenses and everything from all the departments got folded over into that. In this case, the White Library, all the money they ever got was for expenses, so their budget just went away altogether. Are there any other questions or comments on these budgets? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those budgets are adopted unanimously. Oh, now we get into the fun stuff. Retirement of debt. For the elementary school, principal excluded, $565,000. For the floods of 2010, principal non-excluded, $70,000, for a total of $635,000. For interest on long-term debt for the Freetown Elementary School, interest excluded, $53,250. For the floods of 2010, interest non-excluded, $4,900, for a total of $58,150. For interest on short-term debt expenses, $208,910. I'm just going to go on to the unclassified since there were no holds, and we'll vote them all together. For the Serpent assessment, $1,680. For the retirement of pension contributions, $1,191,219. For workman's comp, personnel, $93,860. Unemployment benefits, personnel, $20,000. Health insurance, personnel, $1,615,104.36. For life insurance, $1,350. For Medicare, $58,900. Liability insurance expenses, $55,078. For townwide fueling, $138,000. And for a transfer to trust, other post-employment benefits liability, $200,000. I'll take a motion at this time to accept all those budgets as recommended by the Finance Committee. Motion is made and seconded to adopt those budgets as recommended by the Finance Committee. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those budgets are adopted unanimously. Now the capital budgets. Under capital equipment, for the lease of existing police cruisers, $61,639.45. For the lease of new police cruisers, $28,549.55. For the purchase of police equipment, $14,368. For the lease of existing fire and EMS apparatus, $112,500. For the lease of new fire and EMS apparatus, $90,000. For the purchase of fire and EMS equipment, $99,000. For the lease of existing highway vehicles and equipment, $43,143.65. For the lease of new highway vehicles and equipment, $45,000. For the purchase of new highway equipment, $38,926. For the purchase of cemetery equipment, $0. For the purchase of all other equipment, $48,500. For a total capital equipment budget of $581,626.65.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt the capital equipment budget as read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those are adopted unanimously. And the capital building improvements. For town buildings and other improvements, $75,500. For fire station improvements, $138,500. And for police station improvements, $0. For a total capital building improvements of $214,000. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the recommended figures as read. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Oh, hold on. Abby jumps up at the last second.
Just wondering what we're doing to the fire station. Looking at the increase over last year, it's $25,000.
I see an epic discussion battle between the fire chief and the selectman. Who wants to get to the microphone first?
Exactly. I guess the selectman went out, Gary. Station 1 has arched doors. While they look good, they are no longer able to, they're in function, they're not functional. A new fire truck cannot fit in there, so we're taking the arch out and squaring it off.
I was just curious what it was.
Yep. Got the answer.
Motion to accept the finance committee recommended budget.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Do we have any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those lines are adopted unanimously. At 45 minutes in, we have now completed Article 1. Something I omitted to say before, and I want to do it before I forget. You may have seen on the handout table in the hallway some postcards and packets about a cable television service. The cable committee in town is working on a new cable contract with Comcast, and they are looking for your opinions on what you do or don't like about Comcast, including the price. So please make sure to participate in the survey if you are able to do so. There are paper surveys or a postcard that explains how you can do it online. Article 2, Okay, does that have a second? A motion has been made and seconded to take Article 24 out of order. That would mean we would vote on Article 24 before we vote on Article 2. There can be discussion on this motion, however, it is limited only to the merits of changing the order of the article. You cannot discuss the article until we decide whether or not to change it. Is there any discussion or questions on the motion to take Article 24 early? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? That was relatively even, so I'm going to ask for a count on that. If you are in favor of taking Article 24 early, please hold up the blue ticket.
What are we voting on now?
This is whether or not to take Article 24 now.
Move it up.
To move it up.
Are you taking discussion? Want to count for?
Did I call for discussion?
Yeah.
Not on the article, on the movement of it.
I thought
We already discussed.
we asked for discussion already.
Thanks, Don.
Oh, you're gonna trade, are we trading? We're gonna trade? Is this dinner?
Get rid of the nuts. All the nutty
Oh, you don't like the nuts?
No, you want the nuts?
Yeah, I like.
All those opposed to taking Article 24 early, please hold up your blue ticket.
All right. I'm gonna have the ones now, sorry, I don't wanna eat it all.
Those are always longer than yeses.
The yeses were 10, the noes were 35. That motion is defeated. What that means is that Article 24 will just stay where it was. We will vote on it later, we just won't vote on it now. Going back to Article 2, I do need to inform you that in Article 2 there is a typo. It asks to set the budget, to set the salaries for the fiscal year 2019. That's the year that's going to end in 3 weeks, so that wouldn't do a lot of good. It's supposed to say the fiscal year 2020. So when we read it and vote, we'll be reading 2020 and not 2019. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to fix the salary and compensation of all elected officers of the town as provided by Chapter 41, Section 108 of the General Laws, as amended, for the fiscal year 2020, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. Just like in the budget, if there's a difference between the request and the recommendation, you'll hear it. If not, you'll only hear one number. If you have questions or disagreement about any of the lines, call out a hold, and we'll go from there. For the moderator, requested $432 per year, recommended $150 per meeting. For the Board of Selectmen, the request and recommendation is $6,000 per member per year. For the town clerk, $57,225 per year. For the Board of Assessors, $4,192 per member per year. For the tree warden, request $22.50 per hour. Recommendation, $22 per hour. For the highway surveyor, $71,262 per year. And for the regional school district committee, $1,106 per member per year.
How many members?
There are 4 members from our town. We don't pay for the Lakeville members. Can I have a motion to adopt the lines that were not put on hold?
Motion made.
I'll call that a motion made and seconded to adopt the recommended figures. We're voting on every line except the moderator. Although, are there any questions or discussion on those lines? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those lines are adopted unanimously. We'll now go back to the hold on the moderator pay.
not to shortchange you, Mr. Moderator, but I'm just curious why the change from a solid flat rate to an hourly rate?
I'm gonna,
Not an hourly rate, but a meeting rate.
right. I requested the same amount I got last year, which was the $4.32. It was the selectmen's recommendation that it be changed to a per meeting, because they felt that in a normal year, we have 3 town meetings, the 2 we had tonight and 1 in the fall. They felt that I get shortchanged if we have many extra meetings, like last year, when we had like 6 in 1 week. But I'm pretty much good with this either way, but that was the reason why they made that recommendation, unless I've said anything that's out of school.
No, Mike, you haven't.
Okay.
Motion to adopt the finance committee's recommendation.
Okay, the motion was made and seconded to adopt the recommendation. We have another question or comment coming.
Just a question to clarify, per meeting, does that mean if the meeting gets continued, will that be the same meeting? Because technically it is, it's continuation of the same meeting.
That's
Or would that be a new meeting because it's a separate night, and if that's the intention of the board to make sure you're paid adequately?
My understanding was 1 warrant, 1 paycheck, but if that's not right,
That works for us.
per meeting. So, yeah, so if the same meeting is continued 3 nights, it's only $150. It's not multiple. Okay, any other questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's adopted at the figure of $150 per meeting. Article 3. To see if the town will vote to approve the sum of $856,813 to operate the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund for the fiscal year 2020 with an appropriation for the following direct expenses. Personnel, $92,870. Expenses, $684,150, for a total of $777,020 in the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, and the sum of $79,793 for indirect costs appropriated in the general fund as part of the omnibus budget, with all costs totaling $856,813 and supported by funds from the Water Sewer Enterprise receipts, or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Water and Sewer Commission. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 3 as read. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moderator, funds coming from taxation for those amounts that are appropriated.
Lucille Rosa from Masonic. I just want to be clear about what we're voting on right now. Did we already vote on the 793 in the earlier omnibus budget? Was that in there already?
The town accountant is telling me yes.
Yes, okay. So what we're voting on right now is the 777020.
Part of it's in the general fund.
You're voting on the total amount to operate the water sewer enterprise. The $79,000 is already appropriated in the general fund, and the water sewer enterprise is going to reimburse the general fund for that. So the appropriation is the direct cost.
Thank you.
Was everybody able to hear the answer? Okay,
You want me to do it again?
please.
Okay. You want me to go up to the microphone?
Yep.
A microphone. Anyone? Apparently so.
Okay. So the total amount you're approving is the 856. The amount of 79 is already included in the general fund in terms of indirect costs. So the Water Sewer Enterprise will reimburse the general fund for those, and you're basically voting on the direct costs as an appropriation, a new appropriation.
Okay. Are there any additional questions or discussion on Article 3? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 3 is adopted unanimously. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer $39,500 from the unexpended funds appropriated by the vote taken under Article 4 of the June 5th, 2017 special town meeting for the Water Capital Project Fund, funded with a transfer from the Stabilization Fund for engineering services related to an automated chemical compliance system for the existing filtration site. and to transfer $30,500 from the unexpended funds appropriated by the vote taken under Article 19 of the June 5th, 2017 special town meeting for the Water Capital Project Fund, funded with a transfer from the Capital Stabilization Fund for the design, permitting, and construction of DEP mandated upgrades to the water filtration facility, for a total sum of $70,000 to be used for the new purpose of installing 7 permanent bleeders to meet the DEP conditions for acceptable THM level requirements and/or take any action relative thereto. That was submitted by the Water and Sewer Commission. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 4 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 4 is adopted unanimously. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $10,500 for the PK valuation software license and web hosting and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Assessors. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 5 as read.
Funding.
Did you say they were funded? I'm sorry?
Nope, just as a reminder, if it's not otherwise stated, it's being funded by taxation. Are there any other questions or comments on Article 5? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 5 is adopted unanimously.
Sorry, Mike.
Nope, that's okay. In Article 6, there is a typo again, so I'm going to read the article as it is supposed to be read. It's just changed. It's not supposed to be the third installment. It's supposed to be the first installment. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $33,000 to pay the first installment of the fiscal year 2020 through fiscal year 2024 revaluation program and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Assessors. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Somebody's going to make some kind of motion.
Motion made.
To adopt. Okay, motion made and seconded to adopt Article 6 as read, with that correction that it's the first installment. Are there any questions or comments on Article 6? Is that a no or a maybe?
Got a long way to go, all the way to 26.
Property. I don't believe there's anybody here from the assessor's office tonight. This is when they update the property values.
Okay.
So,
Motion to accept the finance committee recommendation.
motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 6 as read, with the correction to first installment. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article, I thought that was a no. Article 6 is at least adopted by the majority. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $11,165 for the Freetown Elementary School Phase 2 security system upgrade. Well, hold on a second. Including incidental and related costs and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Freetown Lakeville Regional School District. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. We need a motion before we can talk about it.
Second. Mr. Moderator, that will be funded out of free cash.
All right, that will be funded out of free cash. Article 7. There's been a motion made and seconded to adopt that article as read and funded out of free cash, as long as that's seconded as well. Now, if there's a question or comment or anything, that can come up.
I'm curious for the security system upgrade, which is necessary, obviously, but how many installments are there going to be? Or is it every year?
We'll have the superintendent answer that. Yeah, sure.
If I can introduce myself, can I just use my school voice, Mike?
You can use your school voice, but just tell them who you are.
We do not have a phase 3. This is the second completion of the phase. The first phase was 16 cameras. This is an additional 16 cameras. We already have the system in place. We included ourselves with the police department in supporting just to hit some areas that we have yet to hit. So you should not expect to see a phase 3 if the question is on phase 4. We don't have anything else yet in the works, and we feel this suffice and addresses, obviously, technology as it now stands for security. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 7 is adopted unanimously. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $2,000 to pay for the public purpose of supporting the sexual assault and domestic violence program of the New Bedford Women's Center Incorporated, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 8 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 8 is adopted unanimously. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $45,000 to resurface the main Bullock Road driveway of the Freetown Elementary School, including incidental and related costs, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the highway surveyor. It requires a majority vote or a 2/3 vote if it's funded from the stabilization fund. The Finance Committee does not recommend this article.
Make a motion accepted as read. Funding out of free cash.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 9 as read and to fund it through free cash, which means it will only require a majority vote. Are there any questions or discussion on Article 9?
May we hear someone from the highway department comment on this?
Ask and you shall receive.
Good evening, Chuck McInver, Highway Surveyor, Town of Freetown, obviously. I asked to repave that parking lot, I think 10 or 12 years ago, and it never made it to the warrant. Obviously, in the last 10 or 12 years, it hasn't improved its condition. It is in deplorable shape. We don't do it this year, we'll just keep on asking. So it needs it. It's in real rough shape. So that's why we're here.
Would it be actual tar or is that gravel stuff that gets oiled over? Real asphalt.
So Paul's question was, will it be tar or will it be gravel and oil? Chuck's answer was it'll be asphalt.
If I do this asphalt.
Joel Clissy, East Freetown, why did the Finance Committee not recommend it?
Okay, that question will be, send the microphone down to the Finance Committee.
Everybody here? When we discussed this, we thought we could hold off for another couple of years. There are other school projects in this district that are worse shape than this one to be done.
In the opinion of the highway department, does it need doing, and do we have the money to do it?
Yes and yes.
Thank you.
Chuck says yes and yes.
Mr. Moderator, to the illustrious Finance Committee, I would say that costs are not going down in the future. So the amount that the highway superintendent, who I think is probably the best we have in the entire state, that if he thinks we need something, should we do this? Because next year it could be 60 grand, and the year after it could be, shouldn't be pound foolish for savings.
Any other questions or discussion on Article 9? Well, we have a motion to adopt it.
I want to make a motion to modify the existing to include this amount of money that is requested by the highway superintendent based on the expertise that he's done for this town. So in other words, I'm requesting that we modify the existing article and motion to include this amount of money of $45,000.
Oh, we did. The original motion has it.
It has it, right?
Yep. The original
It's not
motion.
recommended by the Finance Committee.
No, but it was recommended that we spend the money anyway. Okay. So the motion for Article 9 is that we do it, that we spend $45,000 to resurface the driveway and that we fund it out of free cash. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 9 is adopted unanimously. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $25,000 for the water line at Fire Station 2, County Road, including incidental and related costs, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the highway surveyor. It again requires a majority vote or a 2/3 vote if funded from the stabilization fund, and the finance committee recommends this article.
Motion is made, accepted as read, out of free cash.
Out of free cash. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 10 as read and to fund it with free cash. Are there any questions or discussion on Article 10? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 10 is adopted unanimously. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $3,000 from the sale of cemetery lots account to be used by the Cemetery Commission for maintenance and improvements at the Assonet Burying Ground and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Cemetery Commission. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Motion to accept this, Fran.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt the article
Kim.
as read.
Kim, is
there
that out of free
any
cash?
discussion or questions
Hold
on
on.
Article 11?
No, it's from the
That's a
sale of
transfer.
lots account, sorry, Steve.
We're good.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 11 is adopted unanimously. Article 12, to see if the town will vote in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 115, Section 9, to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $500 for the maintenance of veterans' graves and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Cemetery Commission. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Recommend adoption.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 12 as read. Is there any discussion or questions on Article 12? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 12 is adopted unanimously. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds the sum of $3,500 for maintenance and improvements to lanes and drainage at the Assonet Burying Ground and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Cemetery Commission. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee does not recommend this article.
Make a motion to accept it as read,
Motion is
And-
made and seconded to adopt Article 13 as read
and that would be out of free cash.
and to fund it out of free cash. Questions or discussion?
I'm curious, why does the finance committee not want to recommend $3,500? I mean, we're spending millions here, so.
Well, speaking for myself, I was thinking the limited use of the cemetery, people coming and going, and it's not that bad to where we need it right now. Again, we may combine it with another project in another year or two.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments on Article 13? So on the motion to adopt Article 13 and to fund it with free cash, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 13 is adopted by the majority. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into tax-exempt lease purchase financing agreements with All American Investment Group LLC to acquire an ambulance and a dump truck, each of which may be financed by the issuance of debt for a term up to the useful life of the property, being 4 years, to be procured as determined by the Board of Selectmen pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 21C. And furthermore, the sum needed to satisfy the first-year payment of these agreements will be separately identified, raised, and appropriated in the capital budget section of the omnibus budget for fiscal year 20, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the fire chief and the highway surveyor. It requires a 2/3 vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Make a motion to accept it as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 14 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 14 is adopted unanimously. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a tax-exempt lease purchase financing agreement with All American Investment Group LLC to acquire police cruisers that may be financed by the issuance of debt for a term up to the useful life of the property, being 3 years, to be procured as determined by the Board of Selectmen pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 21C. And furthermore, the sum needed to satisfy the first-year payment of this agreement will be separately identified, raised, and appropriated in the capital budget section of the omnibus budget for fiscal year 2020, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Chief of Police. It requires a 2/3 vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Motion made and seconded.
A motion has been made and seconded to adopt Article 15 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 15 is adopted unanimously. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 37A, which would increase from $437.50 to $500 the property tax exemption amount available for blind persons, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Assessors. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 16 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 16 is adopted unanimously. Article 17,
Mr. Moderator, if I may make a motion that we waive the reading of the scale in Article 17.
all right, a motion has been made and seconded that we waive the reading of the scale in Article 17. This just cuts down on the amount we have to sit through. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is adopted unanimously. So for Article 17, we'll read just the highlights. To see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws, Article 10, Personnel Classification and Compensation Plan, Section 10.9, Compensation Plan for Employees, Pay Scale, by deleting the current language as follows. And you see it displayed in that chart. And inserting in place thereof the following language. All right, hold on. The salary for the following positions shall be set by the Board of Selectmen on an annual basis or upon hire. Said positions may be eligible for periodic pay increases or upon annual performance evaluation. Further, the holder of positions named below shall not be involved in any negotiations with respect to salaries. And that is the Animal Control Officer, the Assistant Animal Control Officer, the Board of Health Agent, the Building Commissioner, Council on Aging Director, the Library Director, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. We need a motion before we can have discussion.
Motion accepted as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 18 as read, and now there will be discussion.
I'm just assuming, these folks that are being mentioned here, they're not part of the collective bargaining agreement?
That is correct.
Right. These are bylaw
Also,
positions.
what is the percentage of the scale down here when you go from step 1 to step 2 and so forth? How much is an increase per year?
There's not gonna be any more scale. What we're doing here is we're doing away with the scale because every time we wanna change the scale, we have to come to the town meeting to get approval for a bylaw change. What this would do is allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into an agreement with a particular position.
They have to be, all have to be very nice to you guys.
Well, I don't know. Let's see.
Paul Sadie, from the town of Freetown. I have, my concern, I guess, I was gonna say, what's wrong with the schedule? And then I'll tell you my concern is doing it this other way.
What's wrong with the schedule is that the schedule is outdated right now to begin with, okay? The other thing is that when you go to hire one of these people, and we've had this in the past couple of years, we're fixed at a position that may be, as we say, out of date, out of place with the potential candidate we want to hire. So we are limited in what we can do through the bylaw, where if we can set the rate, we can set the rate upon appropriation, and we have more flexibility.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that you don't have the flexibility with the schedule, but if you kept the schedule at a reasonable amount, the going rate in the area, and you can change that every year. The only concern I have is that, what happens if you have an employee that 2 members of the Board of Selectmen don't like? Person may never get a raise. Okay, at least if they're doing an acceptable job with the schedule, they do get a raise. The other concern I have is when you say said position is eligible for, based on an annual performance evaluation, who is going to do the performance evaluation? For example, the library director. I'm one of 7 trustees. Do we do it? Because we should be doing it. It should not be the Board of Selectmen doing it.
I would concur completely with you, Paul.
Okay.
The library director is under an elected board, the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
So you would be, actually, you'd be doing the evaluation, you'd be setting the rate.
Okay. And set the rate too?
My understanding from Massachusetts law is that,
Okay.
yes.
All right, but you see my concern about getting away from the schedule, because
Right.
you know, every 3 years, the board changes, and you never know what's gonna happen.
Right.
Okay, I know.
I will concur to, Paul does make a good point. The problem is that no matter what we do, there's going to be something that somebody's not going to like. And I think that the best way is to go along with the new language in the bylaw instead of trying to work every year, every couple of years on a new scale. It just hasn't worked. Like I say, the rates have not caught up. And to Paul's question too, but you could have an employee that somebody doesn't like, and they come out to a town meeting and they vote down their pay raise. So unfortunately, we're always gonna have an argument that's not gonna be completely, that the system isn't gonna completely work.
Brian Miller, Flag Swamp Road. So essentially what you're saying is your hands are tied, so if it's 26, you know, if you're in a budget negotiation, someone's looking for a job in another town or ours, and we'd have to have a special town meeting in order to change this graph so that we can, in the meantime, they took the job somewhere else.
Exactly.
All right.
I won't get into any personalities or anything, but we had an individual that was doing a proper job. He came to us with the view that he had a potential new position. What could we do for him? We couldn't do anything for him until we had a special town meeting, and, you know, we're making promises that we can't keep.
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak or not.
Well, Paul's at the mic right now.
What? Yeah, Dorothy's a department head, but she's not a voter, so it would take a vote. No, oddly enough, it would take a vote of the meeting to allow the library director to talk, because she doesn't actually live here, so. Motion is made and seconded to let Dorothy talk. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Hi,
Go ahead.
I'm Dorothy Stanley Ballard, the library director. I've been here for 12 years, and in 12 years, I got a little over $3 raise in 12 years using the bylaw scale. And I never had one yearly evaluation. So a little over $3 an hour in 12 years. Just glad you're not the assistant. So, this scale is completely out of whack. The yearly evaluation, I think, would be if all of our favors that fall under this bylaw category.
Paul, would you still like to?
As it was said a couple of times before, I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be more of an appropriate thing to have, for instance, the town administrator to be monitoring this. So therefore, hopefully, the town administrator is gonna be here more than a 3-year turnaround, as the selectmen might come and go. So shouldn't that be more, some less duty that the selectmen don't have to concern themselves with?
See,
Reducing favoritism.
your suggestion is that the salary be set by the town administrator instead of by the select.
Yes.
Would you like to make,
Monitored by him.
do you want to make that as a motion to amend?
Yes, I make that as a motion to amend that the town administrator should be the individual, because if he's a full-time employee of 40 hours a week or more or less,
Miss
whatever,
Moderator.
that he's there all the time, and as the need arises for someone to be hired or disciplined, he's there all the time. So therefore, I make a motion to change that the authority, the governing body of this, be by the town administrator versus the selectmen.
Is there a second to that motion? It doesn't have a second. Okay. So there's no second, so that motion to amend dies. So we go back to the original motion, which is to adopt it as read. Is there any further discussion or question on that motion? So, we'll take the vote now on adopting the article as read. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Article 17 is adopted by the majority. Article 18. I'm going to ask for somebody to make a motion to waive reading Article 18 as well.
So moved, Mr. Moderator.
Motion made and seconded to waive reading all of Article 18. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Somebody shouted a no from the hallway. The people in the room voted unanimously to waive the reading. We're going to go with that. No absentee voting at town meeting. See if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws, Article 17, Animal Control, Section 17.10, penalties, by deleting the language in this section in its entirety and inserting in place thereof the following language, and you can see it. And/or take any action relative thereto. And just as a summary, there was a law that was passed in November of 2018, which changed at the state level what these penalties are supposed to be. So what they're trying to do is line us up with the state. This was submitted by the Animal Control Officer. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article.
Motion made, accepted as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 18 as read. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 18 is adopted unanimously. Article 19 has been withdrawn by the Planning Board. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Freetown Protective Bylaws, Article 11, Zoning Bylaws, Section 11.18H1. Table of Use Regulations within the row titled Truck Stop by deleting SP for special permit and inserting N for no in columns for the industrial and industrial 2 districts, and/or take any action, other action relative thereto. And you see a table in there that illustrates that. This was submitted by the Planning Board. It requires a 2/3 vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. The Planning Board is required to give a report. They have informed me that they have held a public hearing and that they recommend passage of this article.
Make a motion, accepted as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 20 as read. Go ahead.
What would the highway surveyor have to say regarding this particular article?
Highway surveyor has gone home, so he does not have anything to say. Are there any other questions or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 20 is adopted unanimously. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Freetown zoning map by changing the zoning districts to reflect the zoning classification. Change is approved at the October 2018 special town meeting, as shown on the map on file in the office of the town clerk and in the hallway, and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Planning Board. It requires a 2/3 vote. The Finance Committee recommends this article. Once again, the Planning Board has informed me that they have held a public hearing, and they recommend a favorable passage of this article.
Make a motion, accept it as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 21 as read. Are there any questions or discussion on Article 21? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 21 is adopted unanimously. Article 22 has been withdrawn by the Planning Board. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to amend the bylaw or take action relative thereto. Town Bylaw, Article 1.1, Town Meeting. A, posting of warrants. Every town meeting shall by a warrant directed to a constable or other duly appointed person, by posting attested copies of the said warrant in not less than 6 public places in town at least 30 days before the time of holding the annual meeting, and at least 30 days before the time of holding any special town meeting. Availability of warrants. A copy of the warrant containing the articles shall be made available to all registered voters at least 30 days before the time of holding the business portion of the annual meeting, and at least 30 days before the time of holding any special town meeting. This article has been submitted by petition. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee takes no position on this article. Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 23 as read. Are there any questions or discussion on Article 23?
I'm curious, does this mean a mass mailing, or is this just a posting?
I will turn that over to the petitioners.
Gary Mendes, Chase Road, East Freetown. I put this together because we're fixed on 30 days. We pay our mortgages, our bills, everything on 30 days, and I think 30 days is enough time to give certain things enough thought to give a real honest vote. That's all.
Oh, no, hold on. Myrna, I gotta hear what you're saying.
I was just repeating what.
Oh, the town will take care of that like they are now. They would just do it 2 weeks before they're doing it now, that's all. Right? Instead of 14 days, you're gonna make it 30 days if you pass.
That's my understanding.
But that still doesn't answer my question. Is this just a posting or a mass mailing?
Posting.
It's a posting. There'll be no,
Just a posting strictly, okay.
this doesn't trigger a mailing. That doesn't mean somebody won't do one. It just means it doesn't require one. Are there any additional questions or concerns on Article 23?
Yes, what's Mrs. Brown's opinion on that? She's the person that orders the posting. How many days in advance do we have to notify normally that we're going to have the special town meeting?
Just to clarify, Jay, I do not I handle elections. Town meeting is handled by the administration office.
By whom, please?
The administration, the Board of Selectmen's office.
Okay.
As far as the posting of the warrant is 14 days of posting the warrant. It has to be posted. But the bylaw reads in the article that it has to be supplied like to the voters 7 days before.
The existing bylaw. Is it an existing bylaw?
Yeah.
It's 7 to 14.
Thank you, I guess.
You know, so they only would have to be available 7 days, but they have to be posted 14 days, correct?
George?
I think the intention of this article is that information gets out to the taxpayers, that they are notified and understand what the meetings are. And I think a meeting like we have tonight sort of proves the point. Very few people here, and there are many times when something should be publicized more than it is now. Go ahead.
Just as a sub-note maybe to Jackie Brown, that is this and any other meeting notice, is it available by the town to get on online?
It is online, it is on the town
Do we
website.
have to sign up for that, or does it just go to the Freetown website?
It's right on there. Tim McIntosh is our webmaster, and he does an excellent job. So underneath the town meeting, he has when the final voter registration is, and any information to do with the town meeting.
Thank you,
He's
Jack.
got everything on there.
Mr. Moderator? Okay. George gave his opinion, and that's his personal opinion. I'm going to give my personal opinion. If you saw the handout, most towns do not give 14 days for an annual town meeting. We give 14 days for the annual town meeting and any special town meeting. We have on the website, as Jackie has said, the warrant. We have the call program that we spoke of earlier, where you can call, you're called, every citizen that is signed up is called, they're notified of the meeting. If you signed up for the call from the town, you got 2 notifications of this meeting in the last week or so. I believe the hits on the website in the last week were less than 300. So only about 300 people hit the website to begin with. We don't know how many actually went and saw the warrant. So yes, it's not a turnout tonight. Part of it is there's a problem. Town of Somerset, they had 180 people at their annual town meeting. They have 18,000 people, we have 9,000 people. You also have the fact that there's a hockey playoff game tonight, we're all aware, exactly. And I think 14 days is reasonable. I find that there's a problem with 30 days, is that we're going to have to prepare, and we're going to be forced to prepare sometimes without all the information that we really need. We haven't had a problem with, say, cherry sheet or the amount of money that the state would give us in the last few years. We kind of have an idea, but it could be a time where we don't know until the last minute what the budget is going to be because of state reimbursement. So I think 14 days is reasonable. I think there's one town that maybe has 15 days on the handout that we gave out. It's a reasonable time limit. I think 30 days can start to cause a major problem.
One last question, so we don't beat this to death. That what is the time limit for someone, if we post this at 30 days' notice, what is the time limit when someone can submit an article to be put on the warrant or a special town meeting? Is that 14 days?
No. I wanted to say,
Whenever the board opens.
yeah, it's whenever the board actually opens the warrant and closes the warrant. I'm thinking this year it was probably mid-April. Tim might remember. Am I correct, Tim? It was mid-April? Okay.
Tim thinks it was the first week in April that the window closed.
When did it open?
Yeah, March.
March.
I guess my question is that if we set the limit at 30 days, and someone comes up with this article that wants to submit for the town meeting, and he submits it to you guys with only 10 days, then it won't get on the warrant.
Right, no, the warrant closes much earlier. What this is the posting of the warrant,
Right,
and
the posting
notifying.
of it, right.
So, once we close the warrant, when we post the warrant, that's the final warrant. The only difference in the warrant and what you see tonight is the budget is given more time for us to work on, up to, like, say, about a week before.
Thank you.
So I'm not familiar with the exact number, but I'm sure a good majority of these are representative town meeting too. They're not all open town meeting,
No,
right?
the only one that's there is Dartmouth. And
That's the
it.
only one that's
That's the only
representative?
one.
So you don't find that it's a good idea to just give everybody 30 days to kind of get everything, get all the information, read all 25 article warrant, you know.
Well,
It
we
just
have
seems
very,
kind of-
we have very short warrants here compared to a lot of communities.
Right.
I happened to see the warrant for the Chatham annual town meeting. Chatham is 6,500 people. They had 71 articles on that warrant, and they had 2 multi-million-dollar building projects. And they gave.
But I don't think they're dealing with a
Hold
problem
on, I'm not finished. And they were given 14 days.
Well, we
14,
sorry.
14 days is, I don't see where people can't read a warrant in 14 days.
Well, we have a problem already with civic, you know, involvement in this town. Maybe in Chatham they don't have that, so people are more aware of that. If we have 30 days out, it'll give people more time as they're driving through that rotary for a month, knowing that this town meeting's coming up. I don't see any fault in it. Try it. If it doesn't work, we can try this again in the next year and bring it back to 14. That's my opinion. I don't know. Doesn't hurt to try it.
Well, just to answer the point of notification, the annual town meeting is the first Monday in June. It's in the law. It's in the bylaw. That's gonna happen all the time. Special town meetings are called as they're needed. One of the problems with this is if you had a emergency that you needed to have a special town meeting, you're going to, have a problem if it's 30 days, because you're gonna have to go out 45 days. So is it an emergency at 45 days? Yeah.
Have we ever encountered an emergency where it was required that quickly?
Okay. Someone has answered it.
Somebody said bridge.
One time.
Well, okay.
Paul Kudo, Freetown, East Freetown. My question, just to make sure I understand, does the 14-day notification of the warrant coincide with the notification of a town meeting? And I know that the annual town meeting is always the first Monday in June, but, so in other words, the warrant comes out 14 days and the notification of the meeting? Or could the notification of the meeting come out 30 days in advance, and then the warrant will follow at the 14-day mark?
Well, generally, I would say it does. As we said earlier, we closed the warrant in April.
Right.
So that was the end of, so what was on the warrant was formulated more than 14 days.
And I get, and I'm not trying to speak for the gentleman who put the warrant on, but perhaps, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe what I think he's trying to suggest is, not necessarily, because I think you're right, once you know the warrant is out, 14 days, if you're interested in coming to a meeting, should be plenty of time to read that warrant. But if more folks in town are reminded that there's a meeting coming up 30 days prior to the meeting, not the warrant, just flash it out there and tell you, the town meeting is June 3rd. That way, they can look for the warrant when it comes out, 15 days later, 16 days later. And maybe that's just what the point of the article is just to get folks here at the meeting. Not necessarily the warrant. I mean, the warrant would be nice, but if it's a simple flash on whether the website or the one-call system that we have, hey, I'm on the one-call system, I got an email and a text and a phone call, all on my cell phone telling me about the town meeting. But, until this becomes a more regular thing for folks, if they're aware, at least of the meeting, 30 days in advance, then they can start thinking about, hey, I need to go get the warrant, or I need to go check things out online, where it's posted, etc. And so that's why I want to make sure that the meeting announcement and the warrant announcement, are they sort of tied together, or are they two individual entities?
For the purposes of this article, and I'll ask town council to correct me if I'm wrong, I'm reading this that they would be tied together, that this is to publish the warrant 30 days ahead of time.
Mark Rosovsky, Chase Road. I think this article should be approved because it'll allow the townspeople to see what they're coming in to vote for 30 days ahead of time. The warrant will be set, the meeting will be announced. The meeting, as the selectman indicated, the annual meeting is June 1st every year anyway. We all know that. We know that next year is June 1st. we don't know what the warrants are gonna include. Most of these warrants are not controversial. They're pretty rubber stampable. But there are occasions where a warrant, or an article on a warrant, I'm sorry, I misspoke, an article on a warrant needs to be researched, so people wanna make an educated decision rather than just being told by the finance committee or by the selectmen or by this one group of people how to vote. We wanna make our own decision, we wanna do our own research. When you're looking at this time of the year, people are on vacation. The Conservation Commission secretary last week was not in. I don't know where he might have been. But, you know, he wasn't in, so they're not reachable. So if you wanna ask questions, I mean, there's limitations what the town clerks can do when we ask those questions, and we have to be afforded a reasonable amount of time to do our due diligence and make an educated decision rather than just coming in and saying, because if we're just gonna come in and say, do whatever you suggest, we don't all need to be here. We can just sit home and let the boards decide, and there is no point in having a town meeting. So this affords people who want to do their own due diligence that ability. It does not detract from other people from just picking up the warrant at the door and reading it.
I just have one last thing to say. The 14 days is the state minimum, and I think this town deserves better than the state minimum.
Well, it's not the state.
Are there any other?
It's not the state minimum.
Yeah, 14 days for the special, 7 days for the annual.
Being one of
Yeah, okay.
the
Right.
few, if not only, young people in the room, I just wanted to bring up like a point of view that I didn't know about this town meeting until like 2 or 3 days ago. And seeing as we don't have a lot of participation from young people and young voters in the town, I think having it posted 30 days ahead of time would have given me 15, 16 more opportunities to see that there was going to be a town meeting and to schedule that in my time to do some research on the warrants. These are the first time I'm seeing them. I have a hard time navigating the website, even as unlikely as that might be, being young, I'm supposed to be good with technology. So I think if your aim is to try to get more young voter involvement, having more time for them to interact with these notices is good.
Make me a little depressed, because I remember when I was thought of as the young person that was in the room, and that's not happening anymore.
Mr. Moderator, if I can just make a correction. There was a statement that 14 days is the state minimum. It's 14 days on a special town meeting, but only 7 on an annual town meeting, correct? Okay, and we're doing twice that.
I'm one of the young fellas in town. Listen, somebody said that the annual town meeting is June 1st. It is not. It's the first Monday in June, okay? And I just wanted to make sure no one got the wrong message.
That's right, the annual town meeting is the first Monday in June. Otherwise, we would have been here like Saturday.
And just to clarify, the posting is done not only online on the town website, which is a little difficult, but to the webmaster's credit, he did upgrade the website recently. It's a lot better than it was. It's actually can be viewed on an Apple device now before it couldn't be. But it's also on Facebook. If you want to sign up for text messages, you can get it by text message. If you're on it to the whole text message thing, because you still have a flip phone that some people installed in the room, fire chief. They'll actually call your phone, do a robocall, and say, this is the town of Freetown, the meeting is going to be. It's always the first Monday in June, so that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It's just what's on there. The only detriment, I'm not actually for or against this offer. It doesn't really make a difference to me whether it's 30 days out as a taxpayer. The only thing is sitting in that seat last year, and the year before, you're starting to start your budget process 2 weeks early. It doesn't seem like a lot, but we're already started it in February, now you're pushing into January. The selectmen change in March, so right in the middle of that whole thing, the selectmen board takes over, especially if somebody doesn't run or somebody gets, so that then they almost stop the whole process over.
But once the shift was made, it would all line up, right?
Now that the selectmen, April 1st starts the new selectman, and now he wants to catch up and doesn't agree with some of the things that maybe the past administration had done prior to that, because they started the process in January. So that, it just, pushes back the process altogether. Whether it's done or not, that's, to me, that it doesn't make a difference one way or the other, but the reason we have low participation is people don't really honor their civic duty anymore when it comes to these things. It's important that we come to these things and we show up and make our feelings heard, because if we don't, other people make decisions for us, and then we're grumbling about why we're doing this, why the town do that. All those decisions are made right here in this room, and they have been for 40 years. 40 years.
So after Paul, I'm gonna close the discussion unless there's anything new.
I can only say that, as the gentleman who presented this article, in rethinking it and listening to the questions and answers and so forth, I think personally that 30 days is a good amount of time, because as we get the warrant, whether we get it online, we get it as a text, we come in any of the posted places, that it gives us some time to do some research to look at something. And, I mean, we're not all here in the wintertime to enjoy the wonderful weather up here, but it's part of the situation. And I think that the article as it was submitted was in all in good intent. And I think whether the selectmen change or not, that I'm sure that there's an article on the warrant, one of the selectmen is not gonna arbitrarily trace it out like that and dump it. He'll keep it, or she'll keep it.
Okay. If there are any new questions or comments, otherwise we'll move on to a vote. Sorry. As I recall, the motion was to adopt Article 23 as read. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we're gonna take a count on that one. All in favor, please hold up the blue ticket.
No blue one, no blue one, no blue one. I'm a voter. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to get it.
Okay, all those opposed to Article 23 now hold up your blue papers, please.
I'm just scratching my head.
It's getting late, people are getting feisty.
How we came up, that's why we didn't get that. We came up in the elevator and came right in.
I have to check in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's right, you came up
We
in the
came
first.
in and right out, right in.
I'm surprised at that.
The yeses are 24, the noes are 25. That is a valid motion if there are enough people that question whether the count was correct or not. Somebody said recount. Are there any additional people that want to count again?
Will you still maintain a quorum?
Well, that's also a
Yes.
valid motion, questioning whether or not we have enough people in the room.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
If there's a quorum count and we are below a quorum, we will have to come back at a later date, just to let you know.
I would put it this way, there were 24 yeses and 25 noes, which is 49, and the quorum is 50, so would anybody like to admit that they didn't vote?
I didn't vote.
All right, then we have just over 50. In which case, Article 23, that's only 2, so we need a total of 7 people to question the count. Article 23 remains defeated. Article 24, funny enough, is the same as Article 23. To see if the town will vote to amend the bylaw or take action relative thereto. Town bylaw, Article 1.1, town meeting. Posting of warrants. Every town meeting shall, by warrant directed to a constable or other duly appointed person, by posting attested copies of the said warrant in not less than 6 public places in the town at least 30 days before the time of holding the annual meeting, and at least 30 days before the time of holding any special town meeting. Availability of warrants. A copy of the warrant containing the article shall be made available to all registered voters at least 30 days before the time of holding the business portion of the annual meeting, and at least 30 days before the time of holding any special town meeting. This article is submitted by petition. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee takes no position on Article 24.
Make a motion to accept as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 23 as read. 24, I'm sorry.
You got a motion to table first.
All right, we have to have some form of discussion, even though we technically already did, before we can take the motion to table.
Mr. Meyer, I heard right, this is the exact same article as the one we just defeated?
Yes, so petition articles, when they are submitted, if they have the proper signatures, have to be put on the warrant. This petition was submitted twice. So it has to appear twice and be voted on twice.
Then, just, I want to make sure I understood, because when I second the motion to table, I want to know what I'm tabling.
Okay. So, yes, to clear up that clarification, this article would be to vote on the same discussion we had a moment ago.
Okay, okay.
So, again, I would ask that the discussion or questions be limited to new information.
Is there a hardship for getting a warrant out 30 days in advance? It says that the window for articles closes the end of April. Your budget closes the end of April, is there, do you have to be scrambling and bump things back like
So the question is, would the 30 days pose a hardship to preparing the budgets and warrant?
Well, not the budget. We can operate on, we can work on the budget. We do until the evening of the town meeting. But, so, did I answer your question completely or just partially?
Just partially. If the window, I'm just wondering if the window for articles, is there a hardship for getting articles? I mean, do you usually have articles come up at the very last minute before the 14 days of posting? I mean,
No.
is there
I mean, well,
Zoning
well, articles can come up, but the thing is, we close the warrant, probably at least 30 days before the 14 days, that we need to post. Okay?
Paul Sadek, Freetown. You know, we're talking about this 30-day thing, but the majority of people don't even know when the warrant is open and when the warrant is closed. Because that's done in the selectmen's meeting. And unless you're at the meeting, or you watch a broadcast, which comes out sometimes 30 days later, you're not gonna know when the warrant is open. So you don't even know if you can put an article on like these people did. I don't know how they found out. They must go to the meetings. So, that's a problem too, because we don't notify our community that, hey, we're opening a warrant. It's on the agenda of the selectmen, open it and we're gonna shut it on this date. So, maybe that's what we should be changing, so people know when they can put articles in, and then if people know that, the 14 days may work. That's just my thought.
Okay. If there's any additional new questions or comments? If not, we'll proceed to vote. So the motion before us again is to adopt Article 24. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we're gonna have to count it again. If you are in favor of Article 24, please hold up the blue ticket.
I know, that's for this.
You hit another one, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't keep, I'm reaching my quota of candy. Probably reached my weekly quota
I
at this
did,
point.
I did at the beginning, but.
Okay, all those opposed to Article 24, please raise the blue.
When should it go? Because the second petition specified. It's opposed. Ken is getting tired.
Okay, this time the yeses were 17, the noes were 36. Article 24 is defeated. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of blank for the purpose of supplementing the capital stabilization fund and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends that this article be adopted in the amount of $325,000.
Accept it as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 25 as read and in the amount of $325,000. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 25 is adopted unanimously. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of blank for the purpose of supplementing the stabilization fund and/or take any action relative thereto. This was submitted by the Board of Selectmen. It requires a majority vote. The Finance Committee recommends that this article be adopted in the amount of $125,000.
Make a motion to accept it as read.
Motion is made and seconded to adopt Article 26 as read in the amount of $125,000. Are there any questions or comments on Article 26? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Article 26 is adopted unanimously.
School to look at that driveway, right? The school. on the other
Second.
side of the
Motion has been
building.
made and seconded to adjourn the annual town meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? One opposition. The annual town meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.